Have you ever stopped to think if the medicine you're taking is really the best one for you? Right now, we are standing on the edge of a revolution in healthcare, one that's finally moving us past guesswork and into an age of hyper personalization. It's an absolutely incredible shift, and we're about to dive into what it all means. You see, for the longest time, medicine has worked on this one-size-fits-all model. A treatment works for the average person, so it gets prescribed to pretty much everyone. But let's be real, nobody is truly average. The future, and it's happening now, is all about personalized medicine, treatments that are designed and tailored specifically to your unique genetic blueprint. It's like we're finally shifting from a shotgun approach to a laser-guided one. So, how do we get there? To really get a handle on the amazing things this makes possible, we first need to understand the fundamental building blocks of this whole new era in medicine. Okay, so it all kicks off with genetic testing. The easiest way to think about it is like reading the instruction manual for your own body. By analyzing your DNA, scientists can spot these specific variations, these tiny little differences in your genetic code that can hint at your risk for certain diseases, help a doctor lock in a diagnosis, or even predict how you'll react to a specific drug. It's literally the key that unlocks all of that personal biological information. And if genetic testing is the key, then personalized medicine is what's waiting behind the door. It's what we do with that knowledge. So forget the off-the-rack suit that kind of fits. This is a bespoke suit, tailored precisely to you. It takes your genetics, your lifestyle, your environment, and weaves them all together to create a healthcare plan that is one of a kind, yours. All right, this is where it gets really cool. Let's look at how this promise of precision is already changing the game for how we treat some of our toughest diseases. Let me show you how this actually works. Take certain types of breast cancer, like HER2 positive. We can now pinpoint specific genetic markers right on the surface of those cancer cells. Then, a drug can be engineered to literally hunt down and attack only those marked cells. And the best part? It leaves the healthy cells totally alone. It's just a brilliant, way more effective, and much less destructive way to fight cancer. And this is not just for cancer, not by a long shot. There's this field called pharmacogenomics, and it is a complete game changer for everyday medicine. It's all about how your specific genes affect how you respond to drugs. So for example, your DNA can determine whether a common blood thinner is going to be helpful or maybe even dangerous for you. Same goes for some antidepressants. A simple genetic test can help your doctor skip all that frustrating trial and error and get you on the right medication at the right dose way, way faster. But maybe the biggest deal of all is predictive medicine. The power to see health risks long before any symptoms show up. The classic example here is testing for the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes, which are linked to a much higher risk of breast and ovarian cancer. Now, finding out you have one of these variations doesn't mean you're destined to get cancer, but it empowers you. It gives you the knowledge to take proactive, preventative steps. This kind of information really transforms people from just being patients into being active guardians of their own health. But all of this incredible power, well, it opens up a whole can of worms, ethically speaking. Having access to our own genetic blueprint brings up some really profound and complicated questions that we as a society are only just starting to figure out. And believe me, these questions get deeply personal fast. Who owns your genetic data? Who gets to see it? Could a potential employer or an insurance company use it against you? And think about this. When you get tested, those results don't just affect you. They have direct implications for your parents, your siblings, your kids. Anyone who shares parts of your DNA. That is a heavy, heavy weight to carry. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. We tend to talk about this stuff as just data, but it's so much more than that. It is tied to the very core of our identity, our family, and our place in the world. It's hard to think of any information that's more personal. Which of course leads us right to the boom in at-home DNA kits. On one hand, they offer amazing access for everyone, but they also crank up the risks. Without a trained genetic counselor to walk you through the results, it's so easy to misinterpret what a complex risk factor really means. And privacy? When you pop that saliva sample in the mail, do you really know what you're signing away in the fine print? A lot of the time, you're handing over control of your most sensitive information. So, with all this incredible promise, why isn't every single doctor's visit a personalized experience by now? Well, the reality is there are some pretty significant real-world hurdles we still have to get over. A huge one is equity. Access to these amazing technologies is nowhere near equal. It tends to be concentrated in wealthy, urban areas, which leaves people in lower-income communities and rural areas way behind. And that creates this serious danger of a two-tiered healthcare system, one for people who can afford these genetic insights and one for everyone else. And beyond just access, there are massive logistical problems. For starters, the tests themselves can be really expensive. Then there's the fact that we have a major shortage of trained genetic counselors who can actually guide patients through all this. And honestly, our healthcare systems just weren't built to take in this flood of super complex genetic data and use it effectively in a standard 15-minute checkup. So, where do we go from here? Well, the path forward really lies in carefully and thoughtfully building the policies, the regulations, and the ethical guidelines that can help all of us navigate this new age as responsibly as we can. And progress is being made. The completion of the Human Genome Project back in 2003 really got the ball rolling. Then, in 2008, the US passed the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, or GINA, which was a huge step to protect people from discrimination by employers and health insurers. Today, you've got professional groups constantly updating ethical guidelines. But the conversation is far from over, especially when you start talking about international standards. Which really leaves us with one final and very personal question. This technology gives us this unprecedented peek into our own potential future. It holds the promise of immense power, but it also comes with a heavy burden of knowledge. So the real question isn't just about what we can know, but what we should know. If you could read the next chapter of your body's story, would you turn the page?